antimony, but I just want to remind that it's unlikely due to the fire because these are all volcanic metals and we are on top of volcanoes. So this is very common, and one of the other reason is this was all agricultural land. So people used arsenic containing pesticides, and lead can be from the old paint. Historically, lead was included in paint, and also arsenic can be from the other sources such as Koenig. Koenig is something like plywood made from the remaining of the sugar cane. So they make that into a board, but that's unlikely due to the ash because that's a foot down from the fire. So there's no way that's happening. So wherever it's exceeded, and there's not many places, we ask the landowners to cap it because there's a foot of buffer so you don't come directly in contact with any of these contaminants. So that's kind of the gist of what's been done, and the Army Corps of Engineers did a fantastic job, and they handed over us to the Department of the data, what they have, and we are making it available to you. Okay, so I'm going to do a small demo to show you how to access it, and of course I'll be over there for any questions later on. So that's the QR code. So, or if you want to do it at home, you don't have the information ready, that's the help. So just go to Maui Environmental Portal, and you would see this. So these are all the other information, air, ash, these are all already made available to you. If people are seeing this for the first time or it's been a while. So you can look at the soil. This icon right here, that's newly introduced, actually today, before we arrived. So here it's the explanation. So you can look up your property by your TMK number or your address. So you click on that, it would ask you TMK or address, you put in your information, and the list shows up. So that's the address, TMK, so SMP, that's sample ID. So each sample, just for us to track which one is what, we assign a sample ID and the sample date when it was collected, and the analyte, as in what heavy metal we're looking for. So in most cases, you have to take a subsample, a small portion of the big sample we collected, and have to analyze for a different heavy metal. So you can see antimony, arsenic, barium. So depending on what it is, you can list it out. You can also download a PDF file if that's required. So all the features are already listed on the website. What all you can do with the data provided here. So this is what you would see. This is cut off halfway. So this is what you would entirely see. So the lab results, meaning this is what the lab detected, right? This is in that sample ID 00A1, antimony was 2.1. Now that needs to be compared with what I mentioned before, the EAR, Environmental Action Level. That's the level we set up in consultation with CDC, other scientists across the globe, including Australia, EU. We set our ELs. So there are two types of ELs. One is for residential, so you can go to your field, garden, or kids can safely play around and it shouldn't cause any trouble, health issues. And there's also restricted that can be found on the other side. There's also restricted or industrial, which means there is restriction to using this land. And we didn't find a lot of them, mainly the Pioneer Mill area. That's where, because historically there was a lot of pesticides and all that. So don't let your kids play around there, basically, and it's restricted because there are higher levels. So we have two different standards. One for residential, where you can do whatever, you have the liberty to do, you're safe, you have the liberty to do whatever, you shouldn't get sick. And the industrial, that's for 8 hours a day, that's how we calculate. In the industrial area, a person would be there 8 hours a day and they get exposed to anything there. If there shouldn't be anything, but if there's anything, they shouldn't get sick with that exposure. So that's kind of the how we presented our data. And so I have to give the meeting up each because they have to, because of space, I think they have to shorten it down. But that's where you have the data available from today. So if you go to the website, you can access it right now. With that, I will conclude. I just want to give applause to our USAs who did the great work and giving us the data for us to be able to share it with you, and also the people who work behind the scene, like Nancy Conward. Many of you may know her. She did great work for me and everything, and I think I'll conclude there. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jake from Hawaiian Electric. Thank you for allowing us to present to you tonight. Thank you to the County of Maui for giving us some time on the agenda. We wanted to spend a few minutes this evening giving you all an update of the work that we've done in the West Maui area, particularly in the Lahaina. We also want to share with you some of our initial plans to do grid hardening in the Lahaina vicinity. And then we have a very short video to show you, to give you a visual example of the kind of surveying we've done and the kind of environment that we're planning our grid hardening work on. Okay, so for the last 2 years, we've done a lot of electric infrastructure work already in West Maui, particularly the Lahaina area. So this map pretty much covers all of Lahaina, right? This is the area where we've done a lot of power restoration. We rebuilt transmission lines to serve this area as well as areas north of Lahaina, and did a lot of hardening work at the end of 2023 and into 2024 and the beginning of this year. All of that work was to do initial recovery, of course, but also to harden the grid in this side of the island. In particular, we began deploying infrastructure that aligned with the strategy that we had been developing in 2024 and finalized at the beginning of this year. And this slide here gives you a few examples of the specific work done in West Maui, not just to harden the grid, but to improve overall wildfire safety in the area through several actions in our strategy. So that includes grid hardening, includes improvements and changes to operational practices. It includes things like the deployment of AI-enhanced cameras and weather stations to enhance our visibility on what's happening so we can make good operational decisions. And we've done a lot of community meetings and engagements to inform the strategy that we developed at the beginning of this year. So the specific numbers that you see on this slide, I won't go over them, but just know that this is a specific count to West Maui. The numbers for all of Maui in general are much higher than this, so this is specific to West Maui. When we talk from Hawaiian Electric, when we talk about what we're doing to improve community safety to wildfires, right, we're working really on this part in here, right? So as a total community, there are many potential sources of ignitions that can cause fires, and a lot of things collectively we can do to reduce the ignition and spread of wildfires. Our role is really focused on reducing ignitions coming from utility infrastructure, and our strategy is very much focused on that. Having said that, in developing our strategy, we also recognize that we can't do it in isolation, right? That we need to work with community members, with emergency responders, other infrastructure owners, so that our strategy complies with and fits within what others are doing, including other infrastructure owners, the counties, emergency responders, and large landowners. So we developed over the course of 2024 a number of working group meetings to have those kinds of discussions so that the strategy we ultimately came up with worked with and fit in with what others were doing as well. I just wanted to give you a visual of all of the things that you probably heard in these monthly meetings, the in-person and virtual ones, on what the county is doing and what others are doing as well. So tonight I want to focus on one piece, one of the four main pillars of our wildfire safety strategy, and that's on grid hardening. Grid hardening can be accomplished through several strategies. One can be through targeted undergrounding. So that's taking an overhead electric circuit and placing it underground. That photo here on the, this photo here on the right is an example of a trench dug into what was a road, where we laid in conduit and forms that would later be filled with concrete so that we can pull our electric cables underground. So that's a visual example of what it takes to underground a circuit. But hardening isn't just underground. It includes things like installing something called covered conductors. So that's where we replace the electric conductors on a pole with a conductor that's insulated with a piece of polypropylene that prevents electricity from conducting from the conductor to something that it comes into contact with, like the ground or a tree or anything that's a grounding source. Our strategy also includes transmission hardening. The transmission system is our highest voltage portion of our electric system, and efforts to harden that particular portion of our electric system as a dedicated piece of our strategy. And that hardening of the transmission system includes things like replacing the pole that currently exists there today with one that's designed to withstand much, much higher wind speeds, is of a configuration where it's less likely for vegetation to come into contact with electrical conductors and other things to really prevent contact with the ignition. That pole, the stronger pole, can be wood, it can be steel, it can be fiberglass, it can be a number of different materials. Our strategy also includes a focus on looking at areas of key ingress and egress in communities. Hawaii, unfortunately, has a lot of communities throughout the state where a community or portion of the community has only one road in and out. So that automatically makes that particular road very, very critical for travel in and out, not just for people to leave, but for first responders and others to get into that community. So we look at what infrastructure we might have along and crossing that road, and we make sure that that infrastructure there is hardened and reduces the likelihood of a pole falling into the road and therefore blocking access. So with that hardening overall strategy and the many initiatives that we could consider, we looked at a model that we developed in 2024 that quantitatively assesses the risk of every single distribution circuit across all five islands that we serve, including every distribution circuit here on Maui. And we identified those circuits with the greatest risk for not just hardening, but in this case, for targeted undergrounding. So this map here, and for those of you in the back, I know you can't see it, we have a big poster board that we'll have at our resource table afterwards. We can go right up to it. But you can see that we've identified with our plans, hardening work in West Maui along Honapulani Highway, but in particular, we identified our circuit along Lahaina Road for underground. And we'll talk a little bit more about the specific details there. So this is an aerial, Google Map aerial, and we overlay on that in different colors our transmission and distribution systems, just different voltages and portions of our electric grid, just so you have an orientation of where those circuits are relative to different streets and communities. And here's a little bit more of a detail around where we have identified as initial places to underground. And you can see the majority of it is right along Lahaina Road, but it includes portions actually right along here around the intermediate school, by our substation, we call it Lahaina sub, and then portions just below and then above Lahaina High School. And again, come to our table after so we can kind of show you in greater detail a poster board that shows what that looks like. Like I mentioned earlier, we identified this particular section for our targeted undergrounding, our initial undergrounding, based upon this risk model, wildfire risk model that we developed last year. In West Maui, the circuit that runs along the Lahaina Road was identified as having the greatest risk. So that put it up to the very top for undergrounding. We also took into account what's around that area as well, right? We have a very large Lahaina community surrounding it, so that also added to the identification of this particular circuit for undergrounding. Lahaina Road and portions just above the intermediate school is the area where it may be the only road for certain blocks and sections, and so that factored into it. And then lastly, it says synergistic opportunities. Probably no one gets that other than me and John. The county, some of you may know that the county is looking to widen Lahaina Road to increase vehicle flow through Lahaina Road. It's a major thoroughfare for the community. And we saw it as a great opportunity for us to underground a circuit along that road now, and at the same time accommodate the county's plans to widen the road, because we won't have poles on the side of the road, limiting the space between the road and different crossings along the way. So it's a rare, hopefully a rare win-win opportunity where both my electric customers and residents of Maui can benefit from both efforts together. So here's a picture of a portion of the Lahaina circuit that we want to underground. I think someone was going to run the video for me, or do I have to click it? I have to click it myself.
No, click one more time.
If I just hit
Click it one more time. Yeah.
Awesome. So this is the drone. This is sped up 4 times. Get out of your way. But this is the drone footage sped up to give you a view of the portion of the circuit just south of it. You can see not just where our pole line is, but you can kind of see the terrain and the vegetation surrounding it. It gives you a visual sort of sense of why we identified this as a circuit that we want to put a priority into running. I'm sure you folks all know this area better than I do. I'm from Maui, but I went to the Rock High School, so I'm not as familiar with this area, but you can get a sense, right, just below, around, and then see later through the high school. It's hard to see, but you see the span actually goes across that gully, across.
Is that part of the Bishop Trust stuff that you're working on?
I'll take your question after. It's called question. And this is where the circuit travels through the high school. Now, initially, we had thought of undergrounding the circuit as it goes through the high school. We had a meeting with the working group, including the administration from Lahaina, and they asked us to not underground the circuit as it goes through the high school, because the construction, remember that photo that shows that big trench that was cut, would be disruptive to the campus as well as to the classes. So we're looking to keep the circuits overhead, but harden those poles and conductors in the area. You see a lot of trees, cabin and other trees on the campus. So one of the things we have to work on is ensuring that those trees are trimmed back so that we have sufficient clearance and reduce the risk of those trees following recipients. Okay, I think that's the end of the video. Pretty much is right here. Okay, so thank you. We'll, I think, have questions and answers at the very end, but if we can't fit it in there, we're going to be here and I'm going to be here at the one electric table, so feel free to come over to us and ask us questions afterwards. Thank you.
Aloha everyone. My name is Rhonda Alexander Mongres, and I'm with Ho'ala Maui Kama Disaster Long-Term Recovery Group. I wanted to introduce two of our colleagues that are here with me tonight. You guys could stand. This is Brandy Kachadoy, she's our construction manager, and Stephen Benavir, he's responsible for our disaster case management program. Some of you may have heard about a grant that opened up about 2 weeks ago, so I wanted to take a few minutes to share with you about the Maui Stabilization Grant. There's $5 million that was made available through Hawaii Community Foundation, and it offers any of the survivors up to $25,000 each for any verified unmet needs that you may have overall. And so in sharing this information with you tonight, I wanted to share that the grant covers up to 4 months of expenses for certain categories of items. And the reason why it's at 4 months, why not 5, 6, or a full year, is because the 4 months is a threshold that's typically used when people are receiving TANF benefits. If you receive any other aid that's beyond the 4 months, then it disqualifies you from those types of benefits. So that's why we have the threshold at 4 months. You can, there's a lot of latitude with this grant. There's no AMI qualifications. There's no other really limits, except a handful of things that, like, we don't pay off credit cards. That's one thing that we don't do. But we do offer aid in all of these different categories. So for housing stability, it could be for rent, security deposits. For those who are paying mortgage and rent, this grant is for you. This is one of the main motivators to get this grant available. Is based upon the feedback that we've had at these community meetings, and we've advocated for you to be able to find the funding and a pathway for you to have some sort of a relief. So if you're in that position and you're in that category, please, take it upon yourself to reach out to your disaster case manager to apply. There's also people who have HOA fees and special assessments lately, that qualifies as well. So you can get up to $25,000 to assist and provide some relief in that area. I know some of you have had special assessments up to about $200,000. So this is a little bit, that helps overall. Also for essential utilities, deposits, monthly utility payments, for transportation, if you have a need for vehicle repairs or for insurance payments or for gas to pay for 4 months, that would be another option. If you have medical debt, dental debt, these types of things, that's also eligible. Childcare costs, additional insurance payments, and anything related to your home. So for appliances, for lost equipment, for business items that you might have lost, this is the grant for you. How do you get access to the funds? Is your disaster case manager is the one that submits the application in for you. So you contact your current disaster case manager. And that's the best, quickest, and fastest way for you to be able to get your grant application in, is working with them. And if you don't have a disaster case manager, then you can enroll with any one of these organizations that are listed here. So Ho'ola, we are accepting applications for anyone who needs a disaster case manager. We also have Kaibigan, Jewish Community Services of Hawaii, and also the DHS DCM program. So they presented last month. So any one of these organizations you can access and request for a disaster case manager. So that's it on the grant portion. Wanted to share a few more things about Ho'ola and what we offer. We do offer rebuild support. So again, Brandy, I already introduced, as our construction manager. We do have a link here. This is a QR code. You can fill out the information and we'll get in contact with you. And then we'll do an assessment of where you're at with your rebuild project, whether you started or you haven't started. And if anyone's working with any contractors that they're having challenges with, then we can also assist you with that as well. And I mentioned that we have the disaster case management program as well. We have 7 different organizations that offer disaster case management services. Ho'ola, Emio, Hawaii Community Lending, Kaibigan, Roots Reborn, Ohana Hope Village, and Jewish Community Services of Hawaii. So these are the 7 organizations that make up the Disaster Case Management Coalition with Ho'ola. And lastly is we do have, and we recruit volunteers to assist with community things. And so if you're interested, or if you have family, friends, or you hear of anyone who has expressed a desire to help with the recovery process for Lahaina or for upcountry, then you can direct them to our website, MauiLongTermRecovery.org, and we have a link there where you can sign up to volunteer for different things. So that's it, and mahalo for having us.
Aloha, everyone. It's hot in here tonight.
It
It's
is.
always hot in here. Welcome. If you don't know me, my name's John. I'm the recovery administrator for the county, and make sure I get in here so Facebook can see us too.
Yeah.
We're going to do a quick presentation just to update everyone on permitting, and then update everyone on Ho'okumuho, and a little bit on Lahaina rebuild. We'll do that, and then we'll do a Q&A session, and then we'll make sure that you can get to all these tables. Sound good? So far, we love to throw these stats up because they keep growing. 473 permits have been issued, 53 complete. I know Four Leaf did how many inspections today? Alone, 40-something, I think. So they're really cranking on the permits, and it looks great. I drove all through the community this afternoon. It was awesome. So that's what's happening. 285 homes are under construction and more to come. So that's really cool, something to celebrate. Let's go to the next slide. We have a Lahaina Town commercial area workshop number 2, and Jen is going to talk about this.
You can go for it, John, but if you'd like to tap me in. Aloha, Jen Megan with Office of Recovery. Just a real quick, save the date for an upcoming community workshop we'll be having for engagement to provide feedback on draft design concepts for Front Street and the street network in the commercial core. So this is following up on the workshops that we had in June that the community provided ideas on. So this is built out of your ideas, opportunity to provide input. We're so accommodating all users on the streets, whether you're walking, biking, driving, parking a car, deliveries, bicycle. The workshop will also be an opportunity to learn more about the design guidelines for commercial buildings in the commercial district and the historic district. And we don't have a specific date and location yet. We're working on that. That will be coming, but we will also have a parallel online workshop. So if you're not able to attend in person, you can review the design concepts online and provide feedback. And we'll also have a presence at the county fair that week as well.
Cool.
So, mahalo.
Thanks, Jen. Super excited that the fair's coming back. Okay, next up is, where is Jeannie? Oh, she's back there. I'm gonna ask our Jeannie to come up. She's helping us implement our Ho'okumu Hall programs. We've come here several times to talk about all the programs that are out now. And so we're gonna give you a status update on that, help answer some questions that you may have, and get right into it with Jeannie. And then I'll stick around for Q&A after that.
Aloha everyone, and mahalo for having me. Just as a little bit of a review for everyone, so there's 3 programs that are currently open and accepting applications for the Ho'okumu program. The first one is First-Time Homebuyer Assistance Program, which can provide up to $600,000 in assistance for down payment, closing costs, any costs associated with the purchase of a new home. This program is for first-time homebuyers. So you can't currently own a home and must not have owned a home within the last 3 years in order to be eligible. The next program that's open and accepting applications is the Single Family Homeowner Reconstruction Program. This program is for folks who have not yet started reconstruction and need some assistance to do so. Provides up to $1.2 million for income eligible households towards the reconstruction of a home. And then of course reimbursement, which is intended for households that have completed construction that could provide up to $400,000 in reimbursement assistance for helping out with those costs that you've incurred for that reconstruction. So we do have a couple of updates for you. For Homebuyer Assistance Opportunity Program, Homebuyer Opportunity Program, that has been an incredibly successful program. We've received well over 1,300 applications. When I last checked before I came here, it was approaching the 1,400 mark. So as a result of the wide success of that program, we are going to need to close applications on September 30th. That will allow us to process through applications. We definitely want to point out that there's a finite amount of funding allocated for the Homebuyer Assistance Program. So we want to make sure that the folks that are in there get their eligibility determinations and we can evaluate, if there's folks that unfortunately will not receive funding. So those applications will close on September 30th. If you have not yet applied and are interested in doing so before then, you can visit our awesome program specialist team over here. You can pop into the Lahaina Gateway Center and work with them, or into Kako'o Maui in the Maui Mall. So keep in mind, these applications are being prioritized. As I mentioned, there's a finite amount of funds in there, and we do have a lot of applications. So we are prioritizing households that are 80% AMI and displaced by the fire. So please keep that in mind. If you think you might be in that bracket, definitely submit your application. Those applicants will be served first. Just a reminder as well, there's a lot of information floating out there online and in social media about pre-approvals and receiving information or pre-approvals for the program before you submit an application. So keep in mind that the only official source of information is the County of Maui's Office of Recovery and either one of those outreach centers that I just mentioned. So if you see something that looks a little weird, please feel free to give us a call or pop in. Vet it out first before you submit any information to an unknown source. Just a reminder here, the income limits. So again, we are prioritizing those households that are 80% AMI or less. So the income chart is here. So essentially for a household of 4, if you make less than $107,700 a year, that is a priority group for the Homebuyer Assistance Program. All right, so this is very small, but we want to set some expectations about the time frame for these programs. So now that we're underway, we're seeing how many applications we have, seeing what the process looks like. We have some more clear timelines, I think, on exactly how long this process will take. So the detailed timeline is available online because I know you won't be able to read that. It's very small, but Essentially, for homebuyer assistance program, you should anticipate about 12 to 18 months from the time of your application until you are able to move into and close on your new home. So this varies a lot by how quickly information can be provided back to the program, how quickly you can get a pre-approval, and how quickly you find a home. So some of this could be sped up by effort on the part of the applicant. So reimbursement program updates. So this program is remaining open. The September 30th only applies to the home purchase assistance program. It does not apply to reimbursement or reconstruction. So just so you know. Right now we have around 37 or so applications for reimbursement. The program specialists are actively working through those and vetting those out and will continue to do so as they're received. Keep in mind, if you haven't received final inspection for your home reconstruction yet, then you should submit a pre-enrollment form, not an application for reconstruction, okay? If you have any questions about that, again, the team over here can help you get in the right direction and fill out the form with you. All right, for the deadline, originally I think we talked about 6-month deadline for reimbursement. This is still up in the air, may consider being extended. More information about that will be sent out soon. All right, so the reimbursement timeline is obviously a lot shorter. We're not dealing with construction or loan pre-approvals or anything like that. So an estimated time from application until you get a reimbursement check is about 6 months. So for this, we have to review your eligibility, believe it or not, conduct an environmental review on the property that's already been completed. And then once we get through that, then we can issue a reimbursement check. So again, trying to set some expectations about 6 months for reimbursement. All right, so finally for reconstruction. So to date, we have about 100 applications, a little over 100 applications for reconstruction assistance. We're gonna continue processing those. Again, you can continue to submit applications for those. That application portal will not close on September 30th. It's only the homebuyer assistance program. So for this program, it is the longest of the programs. We anticipate about 20 to 24 months from the time you submit your application until you are able to move into a newly reconstructed home. Again, this is the longest one since we are doing construction on the property. The construction process can take a little bit. We also have all those awesome federal requirements we need to comply with, so that can add a little bit of length of time. So when you're planning and considering an application, plan for about 20 to 24 months before you're able to move back into a home. Again, if you want to submit an application, you can do that online. You can do that right here with our awesome team, or you can pop into either of the centers. We also have a mobile application. I will put up the QR code for those of you who are taking pictures. So you can click on the QR code, that will take you to the website. There's a link on there for the application. And I think that covers it.
Thanks, Jeannie. We appreciate the summary, and we felt it was really important to give you folks really realistic timelines and for all these programs. So now's the time when we're going to jump to, is that all the presentation? We're going to jump to Q&A. Who do we have running mics tonight? Okay, Morris, thank you. And we have, representatives from almost every county or state agency here tonight. Plus, we have Dr. Fink. Thank you for being here. So let's jump straight to it.
And I can't.
We'll do a few questions.
I can't run around because I'm hard.
Yeah. Okay. And then we'll go to. We'll bring the mayor up at the end. Okay, Morris, back here.
Can you guys hear me?
Good evening. This question is for the mayor and for the planning director. My name is Penny Wakita. I've lived in West Maui for 60 years. My husband, as you know, Mayor, was born and raised here. I'm holding in my hand the first page of a 190-page document called Draft. The Lahaina National Historic Landmark District Design Standards for Post-Fire Single-Family Residential Reconstruction. Now, as you know, the National Historic Landmark is approximately from Papalaua to the Puamana stream. The northern boundary is it's below the highway, I'm not sure, and then it extends out 3 miles into the ocean. The majority of the residential area that's affected by this draft is between Prison and Puamana. One subdivision, the Kaulu subdivision, was built in the 70s by the Arizumi brothers, concrete block homes for working class families. And the next subdivision was by a private developer, and the lots were sold off. This document, my question is, who wrote it, this draft?
Oh, okay. Hi, Kate Blystone, Planning Director. Thank you for your question. So this draft was written over a long period of time. So the Planning Department wrote portions of it, and also we had a consultant assist us with portions of it as well.
Was there any community input from those in the affected areas that went into this document?
So I wish I could go back in history and remember all of the things that led to this document. What I can say is that it's currently at Cultural Resources Commission for engagement. That's part of the process, is for them to talk about it and for people to talk to them about it. But I do want to say too that we have paused a little bit on this because, as Jen mentioned, we're doing some design guidelines for the commercial area, and we're also talking about rolling this document, a version of this document, into that document. So it's kind of paused at this moment.
Well, I hope it stays paused because this document is telling people how to rebuild their homes in a plantation style that they may or may not want. These are tragic times. Those of us in the affected area, we lost our homes. We only want to build back what we had for ourselves and our family. And so I recommend that you shelve this document.
Thank you. So also too, it would be helpful if you came to me afterwards at the table and you could show me exactly where you're talking about so I can know that information going into the next phase. Thank you.
Over here. Thank you for that comment and question. Next is Ray here in the middle. Thank you.
Hello. I tried to fill out the form for the Bohu. I'm in the category that I've started rebuilding my house.
Okay.
I've got frame done, starting almost the roof done.
Okay.
When I went on the online and I tried to do the pre-enrollment form, which would apply to me,
Yes.
it didn't work. The link didn't work, so.
Okay,
Do
tell.
we find is there paper?
So the guys,
or-
wave your hand, guys. They're here to help you with that tonight. So if anybody has a problem with anything online with the application, right here, those guys can look you up, see where you are in the process, and help you fix whatever technical issue you may have with that form.
Thank you.
No problem. So it's a great question though, because we created the pre-enrollment form for the reimbursement program specifically because you can't technically apply for that program until you're finished, until you're powered with construction. So we have a placeholder in the electronic form that lets us know where you are, and then we'll keep letting you know. We're going to keep the application period open as long as we possibly can so that you can finish your construction and then apply. But we'll have you in the system, okay? Well, that's why that exists. But come see us. If that doesn't make sense, ask me another question.
Hi, good evening. I have I also have a question to do with Ms. Wakita's question for Kate. You mentioned that there are consultants that I think Ms. Wakita and I would also like to know, what are the names of those people or corporations that you are working with that you mentioned that are on pause at the moment?
Sure. So this was a local consultant who used to be the chair of the CRC, the Cultural Resources Commission. Brandis is her name. And that was the one.
We get a first and last name, and if there's a name of the company, please.
Yeah, I'll have to look. Yeah, Brandis Sarich, I think she's a single shingle. I think she's just an individual. I'm not sure that she has a full company, but I can look it up.
She's in charge of the entire.
No,
And you're not sure who she is?
I'm so sorry that it came out of that way. I apologize. So there's a couple things going on here. The planning department is responsible for this, but Brandis helped us with crafting it. So organizing it and crafting it. The planning department did the bulk of the work on the single family. For the design guidelines for the commercial area, in which we are going to probably roll these design guidelines into that, we're working with Opticoast Design, and I can give you the names of everyone on their team if you would like to.
No, just Ms. Wakita wanted to know the names. So we also want to know.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. I just want to make sure, you are the director of the planning.
I am.
Yeah, you're. So you.
Do you have a
direct-
question?
I mean, yeah.
What's the question?
It's concerning to me that the director of planning doesn't know this information.
What information haven't I provided to you? So Opticoast Design is the.
Next question. You're good, thank you.
Okay, what's the next question?
For I would like to ask about DCM.
Okay, go ahead.
What are the qualifications of a DCM worker?
I can't answer that question. Anybody here that can? You know what, we will, I'm sorry. Paulo, yeah, oh, there he is. See, I told you we had everybody here tonight. Paulo.
So I just will give a little bit of context. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, been in private practice the last 13 years, been in nonprofit management, been in charge of contracts for all of Maui County, and providing clinical supervision to case managers is very crucial. If case managers don't have enough support and training, it's not going to be a successful program. So what I'm encountering and what my clients are reporting to me is that from what I understand, everything is going through the DCM. That's the commonality with all of the programs. So that DCM worker who is not a professional but a paraprofessional is being weighted with the decision to make sure that they are guiding people to the right programs, because we lose precious time. And not only that, it's traumatizing for people. And I have former DCM workers on my caseload seeking mental health care because they burnt out and they don't feel like they received the right training. I have been saying for 2 years that I would help with this, and actually never even thought about asking for money for it. But I have been told repeatedly that I'm not needed. I am from Lahaina. I am the only mental health worker that has shown up here consistently to these meetings, because my colleagues know that if they do, they will suffer financially. As a private practitioner, I have no help, no support, and these people are coming to me because I'm from Lahaina and they know that I will try to get an answer, or at least I will advocate on behalf.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you for your service to the community. To help answer your question, our case managers with the state disaster case management program, they are not social service workers. They are focused on the acute care for the community to get into safe, sanitary, and secure conditions. And the training is done internally with St. Vincent de Paul, who guides them through the disaster process. And they're across the nation who's been focused in the disaster realm for many years. And so it's not social work that they're doing, they're focused on getting our community survivors into safe, sanitary, and secure conditions. And so what we do is we're contracted by the state as a management agency, and we contract with about 5 other local agencies like Global Empowerment Mission, like Aloha House, Catholic Charities when they were with us, Family Promise, Family Life Center, Pacific Gateway, and they hire the case managers to serve the community, and a lot of them are survivors as well. So you may be serving individuals that are going through their own trauma, and then the training is handled internally with their agencies, and additionally with, so the mainland training, these folks are well seasoned, have gone through multiple disasters, and so if you do have a mainland DCN, we encourage you to work with them because they've been through multiple things. Yeah, so.
Thank you. We have questions coming in online, and then I'll go to you. So we're going to do one online. I'm going to have Jeannie come answer it. But I'll ask the question, and then I'll hand it over to you. So the question is, for Ho'okumuho, after attending 3 meetings and meeting one-on-one with Ho'okumuho specialists, they're told not to apply for a reimbursement program because the grant will not offer funds for owner-occupied homes in Lahaina that have an ADU and are rebuilding those ADUs. Is there a chance that the rules on the reimbursement program and owner-occupied homes that had an ADU will change? So let's answer the question first, and then we'll talk about the future, okay?
Absolutely, thank you. So to be really clear about the answer to the question, so the primary structure that an individual is living in as their primary residence is eligible for reimbursement through the Ho'okumuho program, pending the income eligibility and other criteria. Having an ADU on the property does not prohibit the applicant from being eligible for reimbursement of costs associated with the reconstruction of their primary residence, right? So if an individual has an ADU on their property and they want reimbursement for that reconstruction of that accessory dwelling unit, that is not eligible. It's only the costs associated with the primary residence. And then for the future, so just so everyone knows, HUD does have prohibitions on providing funding or assistance to second homes, but the county will continue to work with HUD and figure out if there are solutions to address those ADUs that people are wanting to replace, or if they're wanting to add new ones to the property. So that will be something that continues in program design and planning as we move forward in the programs.
Thanks, Jeannie. Hope that clarifies that. Thanks for that online question. We'll keep doing those if they come in. Jackie, you have something?
So my questions tonight are for the elder DCMP. So the question that keeps coming out with the folks that I work with is how is the intake process being handled? Like how are folks getting vetted? And just what is the intake process? Is the first question.
Okay, so you're not talking about the whole programs you're talking about. Okay, LT or Jude. Here we go.
Hi, Jackie. So the intake process, we have an online form and you answer the questions. And then from there, we do what's called cross-referencing. So we check with the DHS DCM program to see if anyone who's applied with us is already assigned to a disaster case manager with the DHS program. And if they are, then we refer them back to that program. And then we do cross-referencing with those 6 other organizations that are part of Ho'ola's coalition of disaster case managers. We check with them if they have any of the clients that have applied with us. And if they do, then we refer them back to that organization. So that's the first step. If they don't, then they continue the process with us. And we'll do an initial phone call, email, or reach out to them. to see and explore what their other needs are. So it's based upon how they answered the intake form as to their preferred style to communicate. And based upon that, we meet with them on their destroyed property, and we do an interview with them, find out what their unmet needs are, and ask them if they want to enroll in services. If they want to enroll in services, then we sit down, sign a few papers, put together a recovery plan for them, and then move forward from there based upon their recovery plan.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rama.
You're welcome.
Could you explain a little bit how the relationship works with the other DCMs? Like if there's new folks that aren't with one of those other organizations, how might someone get referred out to one of the partner organizations?
The only partner organizations that are accepting new clients right now are Kaigan and Jewish Community Services of Hawaii, and ourselves. So that's it. So ever since the grant was announced, we've had 600 applications in the last 2 weeks for a disaster case manager. It's going to take us a little bit to get in contact with everyone overall. So we're bringing on a few new temporary staff to assist with that. And I see one of our DCMs in the back, Kamiki, you want to stand up and say hi. Sorry I didn't see you there earlier. So this is one of our disaster case managers. She, Stephen, and Malia is a 3-person team that we have for disaster case management. They're working extremely hard to get in contact with all of you, connect with you, show their aloha and try and help you through the process. So we just ask for patience and grace. We're trying hard, to get to everyone overall.
Thank you so much. I'm almost done, I promise. Can LTRP DCMs refer to the GEM housing specialists? Is that a connection that's there?
I don't know if we've done any referrals to the GEM housing specialists yet. We talked to them though. We talked to them, we talked to Paulo. We meet with the state DCMT or the DHS DCMT twice a month.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you for those good questions. It's neat to see the team effort across the board. Okay, Boris, you got one.
Aloha, good evening. John, I don't know that this is directly related to the fire, but it is something that we experience as people who travel from Central Maui to West Maui and vice versa. What I wanted to say is I want to share a brief experience that Uncle and I had recently at high tide, Pauhana time, and then having explained the situation, perhaps offer an idea that could help people move from one side to the next, but I don't know which organization would be responsible for it.
We do say community-led, so let's go.
Okay, so Pauhana time, during the recent high tide, we tried to move out of Lahaina. We were on the lower road leaving town, or hoping to, and it took us an hour to go from Papalawa to Shaw Street. I started to feel very anxious sitting there, and we talked about what if an emergency happens right now, what are we gonna do? So I was really too anxious. So we decided to abort our plan to go to Kahului that evening. But got us thinking and talking to the Coconut Wireless, and a dear friend of mine said, not everybody has to go. People who are working must commute, of course. People who have doctor's appointment must go. People who are taking kids to school must go back and forth. But some other people can choose when they go or if they go. And if we were able to check traffic cameras, perhaps, to see, what's it look like right now? Or what's it looking like? We could make a decision on whether we added to the clutter on the road or scheduled our trip tomorrow or maybe next week. So if there's any opportunity to increase the amount of visibility from one side to the other, it might help.
Okay, well, thank you for that comment. I'm sure we've all experienced that same frustration going back and forth. I know that several of the cameras were damaged in the fire, and actually some of them have already been put back, and then there's other projects to increase that. The State Department of Transportation, I don't think they're here tonight, I don't see them, but they do have a fairly extensive network of cameras right now. But we can see if they have any plans for the future to make that commute a little bit better for everyone. So thank you for that comment.
Does anybody know anything about Waze? Waze has all that.
Yeah, Waze.
24 hours.
Yeah. He's saying that the app Waze is a good way to do that too, if you haven't used it.
Also
But let's, Sundays, yeah. Thank you. I'm going to go to the guy with the microphone, but thank you for that.
I have a question about the first time home buyer grant.
Okay.
Now, I understand that it's saying that prioritizing people 80% and below now. The criteria before was 120 or below. So everybody 80% and above will be eligible. And also, I'm wondering if you guys are doing this to house people, this is federal money. Why is it only for the county now? Has anybody really thought about the impact on bringing all that money in for first-time home buyers? I mean, the bottom price of the house right now is $1 million. Now, after this, what's going to be the bottom price $2 million? What about everybody else who hasn't been through the fire and it does not have this law? It's going to choke everybody else out of having a place to live. Did anybody take that into consideration? Because if you're trying to house people, only the county Maui is going to do it.
Let's answer your question on that 80%, and then I'll let the mayor opine on housing in Maui.
All right, so just to clarify, so households up to 120% of the area median income are still eligible, but I just wanted to point out the prioritization criteria for fire displaced renters and households that were 80% AMI or less, because again, there's a lot of applications in there and only a finite number of dollars. So everyone is still encouraged to apply if their income is up to that 120%, but just want to be really transparent that we are prioritizing those households that are lower income, so we might reach an end of the finances before we reach the end of eligible applications.
We'll let our boss address housing.
Well, I mean, I understand there's a lot of help that's needed throughout the state, but this money was given specifically by HUD for Lahaina and Kula residents. That's who the money was given for. That's why we have it. Because you folks suffered an $8 billion loss in your communities, both Kula and Lahaina. And we were able to get 1.6 billion of that. So we don't even have enough to do our own community. So there's no way we're gonna give that money to somebody else's community who didn't suffer what you guys suffered. So first of all, we have a very strict guideline that we have to follow by HUD as far as the income eligibility and the people that this money was intended for. Not unlike the donations that came in from around the world. Those donations came for you folks. Those donations came for Lahaina's restoration and recovery. It wasn't money given to Maui. It was money given to the people who suffered the loss. And so if we start to veer from that, we risk losing those funds, being ineligible ourselves. And I don't want to speak for the other three mayors for the other counties. I know they all have their own struggles, like we do. But this is very specific funds for very specific purposes. And by the way, we've already submitted our plan to HUD. If we decide to change this plan, we got to resubmit another plan to HUD. Does anybody want to wait another 20 months for that? I don't think so, right? It's literally an act of Congress to go and change our plan, which is why we have our public meetings. Many of you have come to all the meetings. You guys know what I'm talking about. Because we were under a timeline. And even moving as quickly as we did, we were one of the first communities to submit our plan. It's still taking us a while to get this going, as it would any other community. So I guess I have to say, you're right. This could impact prices, maybe lower them, maybe increase them, I don't know. But that can't be our main concern. Our main concern has to be getting everybody back to their properties. So I have to stick to that as the mayor of this county, and and not speak for the rest of the state or the rest of the other counties. I think that was your question though, right? That's how you could hear it.
Thank you very much.
I just want to make sure I understood your question. Hey, look, we want to help everybody. Everybody love their neighbors. Everybody wants to help each other. But again, the only reason we got this fund is because we made a strong case, a compelling case, that said we deserve this money for this reason.
Thank you very
I
much.
just want to hear that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, one more question.
Okay.
One more question. Mali, you had somebody by you? Okay, go ahead. You can go first. And then we'll take that last one then. Yeah, Dennis.
I have a permitting question. Trying to get solar, and the solar contractor is saying that all the other permits have to be closed out before they can even apply for a solar permit. So is that true? And if it is there anything being done to streamline that process?
Well, I don't believe that that's true in terms of being able to apply for the permit. I'm looking at 4-leaf. I'm not aware of that, so maybe ask that question again a different way. What was the other question? That was it? Okay. And there's one more. We'll do this last question, and then we're already past time, but we will stay here. All these tables are here. Everybody's marked with the yellow. We'll do one more question, and then we'll call it a night for the Q&A. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this has to do with septic tanks
Okay.
and sewer lines. The fact that the cost of the septic tank in and now the sewer lines are going to be running. And they say after once the sewer lines there, you gotta hook up in 6 months or 8 months or whatever it is. Are you gonna be able to do like a waiver on some of that? And those septic tanks are cheap.
I'm going to bring our Department of Environmental Management Director up, Shane Agawa. Thanks for being here, Shane. And then after this answer, we'll dismiss you guys. Well, I'll ask Mayor to say final words.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you for that question. It's a very great question. I have talked to a couple people in that situation where you have a septic tank, a sewer line coming in, and you are right. By ordinance, the county code, you have 180 days that you need to tie into that sewer line. I also understand that people pay money for their septic system and you want to get the best value from that. Also in the code is an option for people to submit a letter of request to extend that period of time to tie in to the director, which is myself. So send in a written request when you get that letter from the wastewater department division saying from now you have 180 days, submit the request, I'll take a look at it. And we'll see what we can do. The extension is up to 5 years. So you can utilize your septic system for 5 more years if it's approved. Thank you. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Shane. And please send your request to Shane because he went to the right high school. So, I wanted to say a special mahalo to Colton for coming here tonight. Along with his crew, they'll be up here very shortly if you have any specific questions. I know he was kind of not saying it, but also alluding to it a little bit. Because you know, local style, you talk about who you are, where you're from, you make your connections, your genealogy, whatever you know about yourself. So Colton is a Baldwin High School graduate, a Happy Valley boy from Wailuku, Maui. And so, you know, the fact that he's here, we just want to say mahalo for you coming over and talking to our Lahaina community again with your crew up there. I just wanted to give him that and thank him. He was very instrumental back in August of 2023. I feel like I know him because he was on the EOC calls twice a day for probably, I don't know, it felt like a year. Anyway, so thank you for being here tonight. I just want to say thank you to everybody. You guys make the sacrifice to come here in person. And so, of course, we appreciate it very much. I hope we are filling those needs that you folks have by getting your questions answered. And again, please come up if you have a personal question about your particular property that you don't want to share in front of anybody else. Just come up and talk to the folks up here. Please be safe. We'll see you folks in 2 weeks on the virtual. Mahalo. Aloha.